Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. Reminder of our main stories now. 6 federal government ministers stormed Lagos for a town hall meeting, promised Nigeria's growth in key sectors of the economy. Works, Power and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola acknowledges difficulty in handling the power situation. It's World Malaria Day as World Health Organization puts pressure on governments to eradicate disease. Nigerian Army avoids stating figures of numbers of bodies handed over to the Kaduna State government following clash with Shiites. And security advisor to Burundi Vice President shot dead in Bujumbura while dropping off his daughter in school. Do remember, all our top stories can be found on our website is channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Do visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. When you're done downloading, we do urge you to please interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, our iOS and Windows platforms. If you've got pictures or videos you'd like to share with us, simply tap on the Channels TV app on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Well, here are some pictures you sent to our Eyewitness portal. Let's begin with this one from Ikorodu in Lagos State, showing the scene of an accident which involved 2 vehicles. Our Eyewitness reporter says the accident was a head-on collision. Next is this picture from Isikan area of Akure, the Ondo State capital, showing shots of flooded roads here. Our Eyewitness reporter says that this is the common sight whenever it rains and calls on the state government to come to their aid. Our next photo is from Ohanku in Aba in Abia State, showing the bad state of the road. Our Eyewitness reporter says that the bad condition of this road has paralyzed economic activities going on around that area. He pleads with the state government to fix the bad road and ease movement and bring back economic activities. And this next photo was sent in from Dadinkowa in Jos, the Plateau State capital. It is showing the sighting of a telecommunication mast right in front of a residential building. And finally comes this image from Narai High Coast in Kaduna State. It shows 2 damaged electricity poles. We want to thank you so much indeed for sending in these pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming, and you too can be a reporter for the Eyewitness portal. Just send in those pictures and keep them coming.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is indeed the first time 6 ministers serving under the present administration will be coming together in Lagos to give a report of the government's performance in the areas of the economy, transportation, petroleum supply and investment. But how far-reaching has today's exercise been? Joining me now on the news at 10 is a professor of jurisprudence and international law, Professor Akin Oyebode. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10. You just saw that report before we went on break. What do you make of today's town hall meeting to begin with?
Well, you must accept the fact that the APC hold the patent on town hall meetings and periodical reports as a sort of feedback mechanism to the electorate. Fashola, who in fact started it off in his blue roof discussions, I think gave an example which the APC seems to be following. So I believe they've come on a salvage mission to rescue a torturing image of the party in power, which unleashed a revolution of rising expectations, which apparently have been largely unfulfilled. Short of calling on the president himself to engineer another media chat, I think they decided to take the option of sending ministers, relevant ministers, to Lagos. And Lagos, you know, is the economic capital of Nigeria. And as Lagos goes, so does the rest of the country. So it's a deft move, political move, as I said, to re-engineer the profile of the party in government.
Now, before today's exercise, Nigerians have indeed criticized this government for not having economic policies, for one, that we know so very much. Also, on the president's assent to the 2016 budget has been quite topical. Are we looking better now with today's exercise, looking ahead?
I think the jury is still out on whether the intervention by the ministers had successfully effected a salvage mission. But I will imagine that the more information disseminated to the population, the better for the country. You know, President Buhari is going to be a year old in government next month. And so I think the government feels the pulse of the populace, the sense of disenchantment, disappointment, and in fact disorientation amongst its fervent supporters. So I think that is why the government took this decision to reassure the electorate. No, Lagos is an APC state, in case you forgot. So it's like preaching to the converted. And you could see applauses here and there. But I think you have to give it to the government that at least they are sensitive to the disillusionment being experienced in many quarters, even among their own ardent supporters. So I can't say that today's intervention has solved all the problems. There will still be doubting Thomases. And what I expect to see is the anniversary speech of the president, where after 1 year of preparing a takeoff, maybe his plane will finally assume a good altitude.
What's your assessment of the president's performance this far?
Well, I think it promised a lot, but the reality seems to be a little bit different. There is a widening credibility gap in the minds of thinking Nigerians that we expected so much from this government. But this was a government that could not put its ministers in place for upwards of 5 months. And this is also a government that has not filled more than 4,000 vacancies in ministries, in departments, and parastatals. You see all these acting appointments which are held on to by bureaucrats who are not necessarily in tandem with the government. So there's been too much of lethargy in terms of policy formulation as well as policy implementation. But after 1 year, I think the government should be deemed to have run out of alibis. 1 year is enough. If the same situation continues, then the country will be in for fireworks.
Let me pull you back to the town hall meeting. The power minister has said that we don't have enough power in terms of generation. Does this give you any concerns?
No, this is what we have lived with for the last 40 years or thereabout. We've not had enough capacity to generate power. Our distribution network is antediluvian. And then the way we've priced the energy that we supply has been horrendous. People pay for darkness. And that's why if you don't provide the meters for the consumers, people will not feel satisfied. I read in the papers 2 days ago that the power distribution companies can't provide enough meters. And that's it is. In fact, it's not a consolation to say we are trying. When your best is not good enough, then you have to go back to the drawing board. So the alibi is long one. It definitely 5,000 megawatts will not be enough. South Africa has 44,000 and they are still counting. What is the problem with Nigeria that we can't put this act together in the last 40 years? So it's not a blame that I will put around the neck of Buhari and his ministers. It's a long-standing problem which needs drastic solutions in terms of overhaul, in terms of ensuring that gas is supplied to the power stations that run on gas. And then we have to have a mix. Coal, we have solar, we have hydro, all sorts of things. So that it should be actually in the past tense that we can provide the power that will fire our industry or will maintain the homes that we live in. So we can't run a situation of private generators in the 21st century. It's so backward that I don't even want to think about it.
I'm sure we'll have a platform to continue this discussion. Professor of Jurisprudence and International Law, Akin Oyewode, I want to thank you so much indeed for sharing your time and your thoughts with us on the news at 10. Many thanks indeed.
No problem.
The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has withdrawn the application for stay of proceedings at the appellate court, praying the court to stop his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, pending the determination of the appeal. Although the motion was slated for hearing, lead counsel to Dr. Saraki, Kanuagabi, told the court that he was withdrawing the motion. He did not give any reasons, though, for the withdrawal. He went on to apologize to the court for making it study the voluminous processes he filed on behalf of his client. The presiding judge, Justice Abdul Adoke, subsequently struck out the motion. The substantive appeal will remain even though no date has been fixed for its hearing. The Senate has started the process of re-enacting the Nigerian Railway Corporation Act to develop a well-crafted legal framework for a more efficient rail system. At the public hearing held in Abuja, Chairman Senate Committee on Land Transport, Senator Gbenga Ashafa, said that the exercise, when completed, will set the Nigerian railway sector on the path of positive development. The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, who was also present at the hearing, said it will be prudent for the Senate to speedily and comprehensively review and pass the bill. It's World Malaria Day, and according to statistics from the World Health Organization, almost half of the world population is at risk of malaria. That's talking about 3.2 billion people. Sub-Saharan Africa, including Nigeria, records a large chunk of this figure. In 2015 alone, 438,000 deaths were recorded globally, with 90% occurring in Sub-Saharan Africa. And this has raised concerns among health workers and the government, resulting in the enlightenment drive for families to use mosquito-treated nets. This year's theme is End Malaria for Good. So let's see how efforts by some governments and states at the state level in Nigeria are carrying on with an awareness spread.
This road walk in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, is part of efforts to draw attention to the significance of the World Malaria Day. The World Health Organization country representative, Mr. Rigwama Vaz, highlights the effort of the government in reducing the malaria scourge and says the government must change its approach by increasing funding.
A malaria-free Nigeria is possible, but much more needed to be done as a matter of urgency. Through a stronger intersectorial coordination and implementation of well-known cost-effective interventions, supported by a strong accountability framework, and also a timely allocation of adequate resources.
For the government, progress has been made in reducing the prominence of malaria in the last 10 years, but they admit there's still a lot of gap in funding.
It is estimated that the cost of Nigeria is about 480 billion in the prevention and treatment of malaria every year. It is disheartening that most of this amount comes from individual pockets of already impoverished Nigerians, and we are determined to do all we can to address the situation. The present government will increase malaria funding through our agencies, that is Federal Ministry of Health and its parastatus, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and other parastatals.
In Nasarawa State, the need to intensify efforts in eradicating malaria features a demonstration of the appropriate method of hanging long-lasting insecticide-treated nets. And has this been a success story?
We need to keep our environment clean, because when the environment is bushy, when you have stagnant waters, that breeds mosquitoes. So if we take care of our environment, that is one way disrupting the transmission of malaria. So that's important. And secondly, it is not good for any person who gets malaria to just commence anti-malarial treatment. It is better to actually make a diagnosis. So we are encouraging people to seek attention in the medical facilities, let them have a blood test done to confirm whether or not it is malaria. And if it is malaria, then treatment is given appropriately.
The issue of funding comes up again, but this time in Ogun State. And the solution here is to partner with donor agencies.
Government of Ogun State, working with Arabian partners, have made it very cheap to the people. Before now, this commodity, this medicine used to sell for about 1,500 for the quarter of this world. Now they sell at between 150 and 300 naira, because we have partnered with Global Fund that is helping us subsidize, and we get it to our people at extremely affordable rate.
The World Malaria Day in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. This road walk from the Millennium Park to Zoo Garden, with advocacy on the need to adhere to preventive measures in order to completely eliminate the disease from the state. Accompanied by the Deputy Governor of the state as well as primary and secondary school children, the Director General says the state has adopted a 100% approach to ending malaria in the shortest possible time.
We are advocating for pregnant women to always take their IPTs, that's their intermittent preventive therapy, to prevent malaria, because of course 11% of maternal death is attributable to or is attributed to malaria, and so the need for pregnant women to be able to protect themselves from coming down.
From available statistics from the World Health Organization, malaria in Nigeria is responsible for 300,000 deaths yearly. And this frightening figure makes it imperative for all to work together towards zero malaria incidents.
When the news at 10 returns, there'll be more on the World Malaria Day. Pediatrician Dr. Toju Chike Obi joins us in just a moment.